Altera. You're out of bounds.
Welcome to a WyrdLore video. Today we're going to be talking about what happened to the Degasi crew. For this video, we're going to be covering both Subnautica and Subnautica Below Zero. So if you haven't played either of these games, you definitely should go and play them before watching me further. In Subnautica, we learned that the Degasi is a Mongolian ship owned by the Torgal Corporation. On the ship was Captain Paul Torgal, a high-ranking chief of Torgal Corp, his only son Bart Torgal, heir of Torgal Corporation, and Marguerite Maida, a freelance security personnel. According to Altera, the Degasi had strayed from its planned route, but we learned from Marguerite that the trip was planned all along.
You see, Chief, you brought us to this sodden planet. Told us we'd see a lush payday. I know enough not to take unscheduled detours to uncharted planets. That's something you don't want to learn the hard way.
It seems that they were looking for a planet full of resources that they could mine dry to themselves. It's safe to assume that when Degasi descended the planet that they were shot down by the quarantine enforcement platform that also shut down the Aurora, and then later the Sunbeam. So the Degasi, captained by a very important member of Torgal Corporation, gets greedy and crashes onto planet 4546b. Only 3 of the crew members are left alive, who now have to survive until help arrives. 10 whole years pass since the Degasi crash before the Aurora is launched with the task of constructing a phase gate. Why, after all this time, did Altera bother with rescuing the Degasi members? Paul Torgal was an important member, and helping search for him would improve relations between Altera and the Mongolians. After all this time, it's unlikely the crew survived, but it seems Mongolians believed that due to the Degasi being well equipped, there was a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
It takes the Aurora 13 months to reach planet 4546b, where they hope to at least confirm the fates of the Degasi crew. So let's follow the Degasi's crew to see what happened to them. After exploring the floating island, we discover a base with PDAs created by the Degasi crew. For days after the crash, the remaining 3 crew members of the Degasi were left drifting in a life pod. They finally washed up upon the floating island. Using salvage from the Degasi, they managed to build a base and gardens for food. Quickly they began to run out of food, and storms destroyed their gardens. Marguerite creates a plan to build a base underwater that Paul reluctantly agrees to. Following the PDA's instructions, we find the Degasi crew had created a new base in a jelly shroom cave. The new base breathed hope into Bart, who began researching the planet.
I've been attempting to document my findings. Father approves. He says understanding is power. That the more we know about this planet, the more we can use it to our advantage. I'm just doing it because it's fun.
But the relationships began to sink. Paul was constantly angry with Marguerite for refusing to acknowledge that he had any authority in the situation.
Your authority stopped at sea level.
Their jelly shroom base was leaking water, and Bart had discovered something that shouldn't be down there. Marguerite recognized that the weapon that shot them down will shoot down anyone who attempts to rescue them, and so again she decided to go deeper, in the hopes of finding what showed up on Bart's scanner. In the deep Grand Reef, we discover a new base. At this point, Bart has discovered they had all been infected by mysterious alien bacteria.
Please, stop fighting and listen. We're sick. You've been coughing, right? Feeling itchy? Blisters? It's something new. It's not in the database. Every organism on this planet is altering our genetic code.
They wondered why the fish on this planet was capable of surviving despite the bacteria being found pretty much everywhere, and so Bart began studying the fish. Marguerite began killing leviathans for Bart to study until Paul reached his breaking point.
I have had it with you, risking our lives.
Oh, stow it, Chief.
While Paul and Marguerite were arguing, Bart had had enough.
You're both wrong. Marguerite, I can't find out how they resist the bacteria if you slaughter them all.
He means you're being reckless.
Father, the outcome's no better if we hole up in here and don't go outside. We have to find a middle way.
There is no compromise. Not while she's on my sea base.
Bart disagreed with both Marguerite killing the leviathans and his father wanting to hide away inside the base, so he decided to take matters into his own hands.
Bart, Torgal has disembarked the habitat.
Bart exited the base, where he was immediately attacked by a leviathan, causing damage to the base. It's unclear whether this is the same Leviathan described by Paul later.
Came out of nowhere. An alien kraken, bigger than a cyclops.
Paul was attacked by the massive tentacled Leviathan, but was saved by Marguerite, who was willing to put aside her quarrels with Paul to fight this creature to death with a piece of scrap metal. Marguerite was stuck to the monster and was dragged away into the darkness, where we last see or hear of her in Subnautica. Paul then describes seeing a light below, which he swam towards, hoping it was Bart.
Oxygen.
This is Paul's last log, as he describes he is low on oxygen, with seemingly no way out of the ocean's depths. There is only one more log from the Degasi crew, in which we discover Bart has managed to swim back to the floating island after the attack.
This is the first time I've seen sunlight in months. Despite my best efforts, ill health is taking hold of me.
He is sick, and his visions were getting worse. He believed he would die soon. He reflected on the decisions he had made and regretted not listening to his father. This is the last PDA from Bart Torgal. Now we move on to Below Zero. In Below Zero, we learn that amazingly, after 10 years, Marguerite has somehow managed to survive after her battle with the Reaper and floated on its corpse all the way to Sector 0, where she then proceeded to make a base using its corpse as furniture like something from the Chainsaw Massacre.
If you're telling the truth, you're out of your mind. If you're lying, there'll be hell to pay.
Not to mention, she luckily managed to survive having the Kara bacteria without utilizing the enzyme 42. At the end of Below Zero, you leave the planet, leaving Marguerite to continue fending for herself. We don't really know what happens to Marguerite after we leave the planet. Maybe in future games we will hear more about what has happened to Marguerite. So that's a summary of pretty much most of the information that you can find on the Degasi about what happened to them, and it seems like pretty much they all died except for Marguerite somehow. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you'd like to see more weird lore about Subnautica, comment down below what video you would like to see me do next. Bye.